Good morning. That's a good start. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Hope you're all fit and well. Can already see Dan Carlin, Chris Ford, Gary Muirhead, all present and correct. Morning, gentlemen. Good of you to be here. Also, good morning to everybody watching over on Instagram. Before we begin today, very, very quick story. I'm going to say good morning to Mark Whiting as well. And let me press Mark's button. Not in the biblical sense, you understand. There you are. Good morning to Mark Whiting as well. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Yeah, before we begin today, a very, very quick story. There's a guy on YouTube you may have come across called Casey Neistat. In YouTube terms, he is somewhere between Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese, kind of rolled into one. During a ridiculously prolific period between 2015 and 2017, Casey Neistat produced a daily vlog each and every single day, 7 days a week, didn't miss a day. In doing so, he effectively reinvented YouTube, raising the bar for production levels and changing the online storytelling landscape forever. Casey Neistat is a legend and a YouTube icon, even though he has long since stopped daily vlogging. And he stopped daily vlogging when he hit his 800th episode. Lightweight. Today is our 800th show, and we're going nowhere. In fact, this show is probably in better shape today than at any time since it was launched 4.5 years ago. I'm not going to dwell on the fact that it's 800 shows because it's largely meaningless. Maybe when we hit 1,000 shows, we'll have a little bit of a party. But 800 back-to-back shows is some achievement. So a big thank you to all our regulars, our viewers, our sponsors, advertisers, equipment manufacturers that have helped us along the way. As you will see at the end of the show, I have bought myself a wee gift to celebrate that milestone. I'm going to say good morning. Well, I tell you what, let me press Dan Carlin's button, which didn't work the first time I tried it. There we are. Worked this time. And good morning to Jim Turner, who's just arrived as well. Good morning, Jim. Thank you for being here. Yeah, 800 shows. 800 shows strong. I've hardly aged a day since we... Let's not go down that road. Let's not pull at that thread. It is time to get on with the show. So without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Jim Turner says, sure, I wish you a happy 800th last week. Yes, I'm sure you did. Must have misheard you last Wednesday, talking about this Wednesday. So happy 800th again. I'll take it wherever I can get it, Jim. Not a problem at all. Thank you very much indeed for that. You can see the question of the day. We'll get to that in just a moment. But it is Wednesday, the 18th of September. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Antony, the aging walrus of demolition. In today's show, Manitou targets the asbestos sector. Komatsu is charging ahead in the field of electric mining. A Christian biker gang demolishes a building. For good reason. Didn't think I'd ever see that as a sentence. And we'll bring you an Aussie demolition time-lapse as well. Plus, in today's Mark's Morning Monologue, we're going to be weighing up the fun and excitement of international air travel against the environmental impact that it has. Get to all of that just a bit later on. But before we get to any of that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine to attend to. Now, Dan Carlin, I can tell you Dan wasn't here yesterday, although he did send me a message. He watched the show yesterday's show on replay and reckons he got the Venieri before it was announced. Of course you did, Dan. Of course you did. It's another tricky one today. Bearing in mind, Dan Carlin, I think, is currently on 12 points. I'm on 9. Gary Muirhead is on 6. And we've got, what is it? We've got today, tomorrow. We've got 3 more to do. So there is every possibility that Gary Muirhead could overtake Dan, I could overtake Dan, or Dan could just take an unassailable lead. We'll find out in just a moment because it's coming up right after this. Yeah, mystery machine time. And here is the machine you need to identify. Not sure I'd be able to identify it from that, even if I had designed the machine. But any guesses are welcome. As always, we're looking for a specific make and a specific model as well. Not an everyday run-of-the-mill machine. I'll tell you now, it's available in the UK, but not what you would call an everyday machine. So have a play with that, see what you can come up with. While you're thinking about it, let me remind you very quickly of our question of the day. Yes, Gary's question of the day today is quite simply, what is your favourite sandwich? But stop. Don't go any further. We've been down this road before about favourite sandwiches, but here's the important distinction. Where did you have it? Where did you have it? Now, I know if Fred was sat here doing this show, unlikely though that may be, he would be saying the Reuben sandwich over at Cat's Deli in New York. Loves him a Reuben, particularly from Cat's Deli. He went to Cat's Deli. I got a T-shirt. Not a bad deal. But the best sandwich you've ever had, and where did you have it? Now, I had a fried chicken sandwich in Tokyo that was in Japanese cloud bread. That was memorable. But I have to say, best sandwich I ever had, and I can tell you exactly where I had it. I grew up not far from Sutton in Surrey. And just outside Sutton in Surrey, there was a place called Belmont, or there still is a place called Belmont. And Belmont had a tiny little bus garage. Say bus garage, more like a bus depot. Didn't have there was no awning or anything like that. There was no shed or anything. It was just basically a big area where the buses would park before they went back out on the route. But within that bus depot, there was a cafe. And it was run by, not that this is in any way, shape or form related to the story, but it was run by a gay guy called Wes. Wes, the gay guy who ran the cafe. It was Wes's Cafe. Wes's Cafe did what I believe to be the greatest bacon sandwich on God's green earth. It really, I don't know what bacon he was using, but I can tell you a rasher was about that wide. And you got two of them in a sandwich. More than enough. Unbelievably good. So, the question of the day, just to quickly remind you, is what's the best sandwich you've ever had? And more specifically, where did you have it? So, let's go back. There you are, Gary Muirhead. It is. I have to say, Cat's Deli is probably sandwich central. Pastrami and right, Cat's Deli in New York. Do you know what's very annoying? I had 10 days or so in New York for my 50th birthday. Didn't intend to go there, but that's where we ended up. And all the time I was there, I was getting messages from Fred, you must go to Cat's Deli, you must go to Cat's Deli. And we basically did all of the sites, the Empire State Building and the Statue of Liberty and all the things. And literally getting on the plane, it's like, we never made it there. So I do need to go back. Our friend Mick is here as well. Morning, Mick. Now, going back to Mystery Machine, Gary Muirhead reckons it could be a Hoodig backhoe loader. It is not one of those. Dan, in two different places for some reason, is going for the JCB 457. It is not a JCB 457. In fact, it's not a JCB. Let me show you a smidge more. There you are. Keep the guesses coming in. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take that away because it is time to move on. People like AR Demolition have converted Manitou telescopic handlers to deliver dust suppression water where it is needed. So Manitou, present and correct in the demolition business, even if they didn't intend to be, but they are deliberately targeting the asbestos removal sector. Take a look at this. Can't imagine that being a volume sale machine, but I have to say, mightily impressed with that. Good work, Manitou people. Let's have a look. What do we got on our mystery machine? We've got Jim Turner going for an Avant mini loader. It's not. Dan Carlin going for a Pitbull compact loader. It's not. But Garvin over on Instagram says one of the giant compact loaders. I realise that's an oxymoron, giant compact loader. But our main man, Garvin, is on the right path. But I need more. I need a lot more. And I can tell you, Gary Muirhead, it is not a Kubota MX 5400. So let me show you a bit more. Knowing what we do right now, let's have a look. There you are. There's a little bit more to be going with. Just been I do take enormous delight in the names that some people have given themselves on Instagram. We've just been joined by somebody who goes by the name of Fishhead2519. Mr. Fishhead, good morning. Thank you very much indeed for being here. And there's Gary Muirhead saying good morning to my other half, who is currently in the process of packing bags. Yes, she's going to Las Vegas with me as well. As is my daughter. Daughter's never been to Las Vegas before, so looking forward to it. Looking forward to showing her the sights. Keep the guesses coming in on the Mystery Machine, and we'll be right back with one of the reasons I'm going to Las Vegas.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
There are lots of reasons to go to Las Vegas. You know, the Strip and the Bellagio, the Venetian, Caesar's Palace, in our case, the Luxor. Lots of shows, lots of lights, lots of sexiness. Personally, I'm going to look at some big diggers. One of the stands I'm looking forward to seeing the most is that of Komatsu, because, oh boy, are they focused on mining.
High up in the cold north of Swedish Lapland, mining of the future is already a reality. In a country where 90% of all energy is green and almost half of that is generated by hydropower, a gentle giant is doing its work tirelessly since more than 16 years. Powered by green energy, this PC 5500 backhoe hydraulic mining excavator is powered by 2 electric motors and generates 95% less emissions than a diesel machine. The machine is operating since nearly 70,000 operating hours. That equals more than 8 years of uninterrupted, sustainable production. Here, in the Boliden Aitik copper mine in Gällivare, northern Sweden. Even though the machine is electric, its cable drum ensures the same mobility as that of a diesel machine. Thanks to the 200-meter-long mining cable, the machine can move wherever it's needed. With its backhoe bucket, this 530-ton excavator operates backwards. To make sure that the machine will never roll over its own power cable, the cable drum automatically winds the coil up or down. For the operator, that means no need to ever look back, no matter the application. Whether on a backhoe or a face shovel hydraulic mining excavator, the mechanism is made to simply work. As one of 43 electric PC 5500s worldwide, the machine is not only as mobile as a conventional diesel machine, it also has the same power, with 1,800 kilowatts for both motors combined, and a standard bucket load of 29 cubic meters. The electric motor in place of a diesel engine requires significantly less maintenance, and less downtime means more productivity. And when the hydraulic mining excavator has to be serviced, our partners and international distributors are there to support. The PC 5500 electric is able to work in extreme weather conditions, even in the icy Swedish winter at minus 40 degrees Celsius. Going electric means zero emission loading with the same mobility, same power, equal productivity and reliability, and all that at lower costs. Under optimal conditions like here in Sweden, the machine does not only minimize its impact on the environment, its operation cost can also be reduced by up to 50%, considering power, spare parts, and servicing. At Komatsu Germany Mining, it's not just about manufacturing machines. It's about building a sustainable future empowering modern-day society. We are pioneers in electrification. Since the delivery of our first electric excavator more than 40 years ago, Komatsu has delivered more than 260 electric hydraulic mining excavators worldwide, mining the resources essential for modern society, like copper here in northern Sweden. 70% of all delivered machines are still in use today. In total, these gentle giants have surpassed 12.7 million operating hours, powered by electricity. That means 1,450 years of uninterrupted production, accomplishing our customers' goals with no compromise on performance or productivity, towards zero-emission operation. So, while the mining industry is still discussing the future of electric machines, our gentle giants keep mining the essential minerals for modern-day society, creating value together.
Hold that thought about sustainability in your head, would you? Because we're going to come back to that at the end of the show. Jim Turner, going over to the chat, says, Jim Turner, there's 2 reasons to go to Vegas, guns and plant, both shows on the bucket list. There is a place in Vegas, I'm assuming there must be a gun show, obviously outside my normal remit, but there is a place where you can go basically, and there's a shooting range, but you can shoot things like Uzis. Given the Americans' record on all things related to guns and gun violence, not entirely sure, and it's not for me. I know plenty of people that have done it, but not for me. I can tell you we do have a winner on our mystery machine. Gary Muirhead says, that's a factory I would love to visit. Yes, so would I. So would I. Jim Turner says, surely the machine would be more efficient sat on a bench and loading trucks below it, therefore not having to waste time and energy lifting every bucket full of off the deck and up into the truck. I'd like to think they've thought of that, but I don't actually know. I don't know at all. But let's have a look. Mystery machine. That is what you had to work with. Good grief. Yes, my wife, talking about sandwiches of the day, I love Philadelphia cheese and Bovril. Could eat it every day. What a monster. So, mystery machine. That was what you had to work with. And Garvin over on Instagram reckoned it could be a giant compact wheel loader. He was right, but Dan Carlin took it a stage further, and he came up with that. The Tobroko Giant G1500. And guess what? It is. There it is. That's what it looks like. Dan Carlin just gone up to 15 points. Going to say good morning to SME Plant Sales. Just join us over on Instagram, as has Dirtwork87 and Jeffrey Bond as well. Good morning to you people. But yes, Dan Carlin has got another 3 points. He is now on 15 points. So I think, let me think, 1, 2, 3. I can tie with him. I can't overtake him. Gary, you're out of the picture as well. It looks like the prize this month is going to be going to Mr. Cullen, as it did last month, actually. So we need to get Steve Williamson back on the show. If anybody's speaking to him, get him back here, because Dan is running away with us, and I'll run out of prizes to send him. Gary Muirhead, gracious as ever, says, well done, Dan. Yes, well done indeed. Let me take that away, because I've plenty more to go with. In fact, we've got a bit of a bonus. I look a pelican it, but it's a bonus anyway. Be back right back after this. So, a gang of Hell's Angels have partially demolished a building. They were supposed to do it. And not only is that an unusual concept, the biker gang in question are also a Christian biker gang. I don't even know what to say. Just watch it.
You know, 10 years ago, seeing women and children homeless on the streets was almost unheard of. There was space for them in shelters. And then also that population wasn't as big as it is today. And so one of the things I think I'm looking forward to most about Hannah's House is that 30% of the remaining issue of homelessness for women and children in Stanislaus County, it's solved right here. And so I think that number, what we're going to see on the streets here, is going to be noticeable.
We acquired this building about a year ago, so this has been a year in making of getting to this point where we're starting demolition. Once we get this thing demoed, then construction begins in November.
We're at $1.3 million raised as of today. which is huge. We still have an uphill battle. We got to get to 3.4 million. And so we're looking for anyone and everyone to come alongside us and donate to this project.
Christian biker gangs. That's a thing. Probably not here, but it certainly is in America. Jim Turner, sticking with his theme that we set with the Komatsu. I see a lot of back actors sitting, digging a face nowadays on videos. That's a face shovel's job. A back actor is most efficient when digging level or below ground height. Fair comment. Two things on sandwiches, sandwich of the day. I don't even know what to say to this. Dan Carlin says, I used to have 12, that is 12 ham and cheese sandwiches a day for work when I was cycling 300 to 400 miles a week. How do you find time to eat 12 sandwiches in a day? Where do you find the capacity? We had a bit of a cock-up last night. As you well know, I'm on a diet at the moment, but I thought, run up to Las Vegas, treat ourselves. So we ordered a Chinese takeaway last night, and I thought, I'll stick with the diet largely. I'll just have some chicken satay because I'm allowed peanuts and I'm allowed chicken, and chicken's grilled. So I ordered that. My wife, good lady that she is, ordered exactly the same. Only one portion turned up. So for dinner last night, I had 2 skewers of chicken satay. I was quite full up afterwards. Gary Muirhead asked a question to which I don't think there is actually a reasonable answer. He says, what about Marmite? What about Marmite? To my mind, the devil's toe jam is Marmite. Bovril's not much better. Wouldn't touch either of them with a barge pole. Not even my own barge pole, somebody else's. Marmite. You know that thing people say about what was the person thinking the first time anybody ever ate an egg? It popped out the rear end of a chicken and they thought, I know, I'll eat that. That's bad enough. But the very fact that people jar up Marmite and Bovril and sell it as food, I find it astonishing. Let's have a look. 6 at morning break, 6 in the afternoon, along with my porridge and vanilla. You must have the constitution of an ox, my friend. Marmite, ask Peter. Is Peter a Marmite fan? Yeah, I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. Anyway, we've got more to get through, so enough of that. We just had kind of a religious bent to our last Demolition video, which was obviously a Christian biker gang. Our next one is not dissimilar in that it's down under, but this time it's going to be it's a Catholic university that's being demolished. Back right after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Mick's offering for his favourite sandwich, should I say, ham, Marmite, and boiled egg. Take out the Marmite, and I'm fully on board. But Marmite, does that not just ruin absolutely everything? Sorry, there's just something that's just come up on my screen. I can't tell what it's all about. It's okay. It's gone away, whatever it is. I do need to, stand by your beds, people, because we have a very special guest. Matt Lundy has just joined us this morning. Matt, thank you very much indeed for being here, my friend. You don't yet have a button because you're an infrequent visitor, but I can tell you that Alex Latham now has his own dedicated button. Just to prove it, let me try it. Haven't tried it before. There you are, his own button. So, Matt, keep coming back. You too could have... like it'll matter. You too could have your own dedicated button. Right, enough of all that. We do need to show you something else. Yeah, I mentioned Australian time-lapse. It looks like this. Yeah, very nice. Gary Muirhead says the Americans have a biker band builders, or is that biker gang builders? Not entirely sure. We have our very own band of builders who do some amazing charity work. They most certainly do. Follow those guys on LinkedIn, and yes, they do some excellent work indeed. Got a bit of a bonus for you in just a moment, but let's have a look. Chris Ford, egg for the last 3 days, beef with a bit of salt tomorrow and Friday. The Burger Beast down the road does a great breakfast cob. Most memorable bacon cob was at SED. We'll never forget the price. Yes, absolutely. There are a few of those about, aren't there? I do remember long before he started doing video and stuff like that, when he was still at school, my son, Fred, went to a stage school. One of the gigs they got out of hours was in the run-up to Christmas. They got to sing in a hotel in Knightsbridge. And I went up to him. Well, I took him up there anyway, but I went to see him on one occasion. And as I was walking in, Terry Venables, God rest him, was walking out. So we're talking pretty posh hotels here. You know, it's Knightsbridge. It's very expensive and everything else. But I took my wife up there to see Fred performing. While we're there, I thought we'll have the afternoon tea, which was about half a dozen finger sandwiches and a pot of tea for two. 127 quid. Yeah. He didn't earn enough to make it worth my while, I can tell you now. Gary Muirhead, I like Marmite, but it's not the same. It is the same because it's horrible. That's a great video, says Dan Carlin. Well, hopefully you'll think much the same about the next one. You won't, but I'm just trying to build it up. As you know, well, no, in actual fact, I do need to play a thing, don't I? Yeah, we need a gap like this.
Hi, I'm Holly. Join Mark Antony on The Breakfast Show. We are Ovenden.
Yeah, as you know, it is our 800th show. And it comes just a day or two before we jet off to Las Vegas. So I figured that A, I was due a small gift to celebrate the notable milestone, and that B, I could enhance our coverage of the Minexpo show with a bit of strategic retail therapy. Now, you might be aware that I started a campaign on our Buy Me a Coffee page to help raise money for a new drone. Well, I clearly started that campaign far too late because it hasn't raised anywhere near enough money. In fact, I haven't raised enough money to buy the bag the drone goes in, let alone the drone itself. But I was not to be deterred, so I bought the thing myself, basically so that I could have my own cameraman while Fred is off doing his arty stuff. The drone arrived yesterday, and after a quick charge of the battery, I took it for its maiden voyage. And this, nothing to do with construction whatsoever, although it will come into its own at Minexpo and elsewhere. This is what it can do. I have my own private cameraman. Bizarrely, it can even record sound. Yeah. It's very clever. Let's have a look. Mick says, I did have a flatbread sandwich once in Haifa. Can't remember what was in it, but it tasted unreal. Found out a few days later it was made by the baker using his feet to knead the dough. That would make it taste unbelievable, I reckon. So, yes, just a very quick one. Yes, my neighbours probably were saying that loon is up the road out there wandering about again. That's not unusual where I live. There's a guy. I don't know why I'm whispering. He doesn't watch and he can't hear me. There's a guy maybe 4 or 5 doors that way. And I live at the, as you saw there, I live at the kind of end of a cul-de-sac. So that direction, there's just a bunch of houses around that circle. And then that way, there's a the shops, the local shops. And we moved in and we saw this guy walking past with little bags of rubbish every single day. And I do mean little bags, not big carrier bags, not black sacks, but little bags of rubbish. But he was doing it 4, 5, 6, even 10 times a day. And, the family all spotted him over a period because he walks past our front window, and it was, why is he doing that? Does he have some sort of phobia about using his own bin? Well, apparently he walks down to Stoneleigh Town, which is just, 4-minute walk that way, and he dumps his rubbish. But he then goes into the local off license, gets himself a couple of cans of special brew, and he sits on a bench and basically spends the day getting pissed as a fart. The rubbish is but a ruse. Yeah, there you are. Jim, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, the absolute truth. The absolute truth is the drone itself is self-flying. I can control it by my smartphone, but it's not necessary. I can just tell it to track me and follow me, which is ideal for exhibitions and site visits. So that's why I bought it, and it will be out in full effect. I don't suppose for one moment I'll be allowed to actually use it within the hall, although we are planning to speak to a couple of the exhibitors. We've got an exhibitor's pass, so we can go in and out of the show out of hours. So it would be quite nice to get onto the Komatsu stand and the Lee Bear stand and stuff like that, and actually film out of hours where there's no people. We can actually use the drone indoors. I'll keep you posted on that. Just to let you know, I am keeping the Buy Me a Coffee campaign open. So if you would still care to contribute to the cost of my new toy, please feel free to do so. I have a button for that as well. There we are. There you are. That's the link. Let's have a look. Matt Lundy says, be very gentle with the gimbal on your drone, as the smallest of knocks causes serious problems. This is a slightly different one. You're absolutely right, Matt. I mean, we've killed enough drones over the years to be aware of that. What I would say about this one is the gimbal. Is he in here? I thought I brought it in here. Maybe I didn't. Damn thing's so small that I can't actually remember what I've done with it. It's about anyway. I was going to show it to you. No, it's not there. Yes, the gimbal on this only works in that axis. It doesn't do 360 because the drone itself, because it's self-steering. So it's a bit more robust. The other thing as well is it doesn't have any flying sensors, so it can fly into stuff, but the whole thing is fully enclosed. So it shouldn't actually matter. Wish I knew what I'd done with it. Here somewhere, I'm sure. Anyway, so yes, you can still contribute. Says 404 page doesn't exist. Does it, Buckrist? Tell you what. Let me just bring it up. There you are. And Dan Carlin, did you get, oh, stop. Dan says, did you get your new drone? Yes. And I was half planning to show it to you. Genuinely no idea what I did with it. Must be next door, I guess. But yes, and, if you're feeling that way inclined, if you're feeling flush, please feel free to contribute. If you're not feeling flush, don't bother. It's not a big deal. But I'm just throwing that out there anyway. Anyway, I'm going to roll the end of show stinger in just a second before leaping gazelle-like into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, then do please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Hope to see you again very soon. Hopefully for the show number 801, which will be tomorrow. If you do have the time and the inclination, do stick around. Mark's morning monologue will be back with you immediately after this. I am just a day or two away from my latest transatlantic trip, and once again, I find myself wrestling with my environmental conscience. I'm flying to Las Vegas for the highly anticipated Minexpo show, where there will be a significant focus upon sustainability and emissions-free mining machines. I expect that much of my reporting on the show will also be focused on all things environmental. But I already know that air travel is one of the most carbon-intensive activities. So while we are talking the talk, myself and the thousands of others that attend Minexpo will not be walking the walk. Let's look at some numbers. According to the International Air Transport Association, aviation is responsible for approximately 2 to 3% of global carbon dioxide emissions, but the impact is far more profound when considering its cumulative effects. The higher altitude emissions from jet engines contribute to the climate changes in ways that go beyond just CO2, including the release of nitrogen oxides, water vapor, and particulates that amplify global warming. When a single round-trip flight from London to Las Vegas emits roughly the same amount of CO2 as the average person's total annual emissions in some countries, it's clear that air travel has a significant environmental cost. So the question arises, how can professionals or organisations claim to be focused on sustainability when flying for work? Moreover, how can I? In today's world, the pressure to appear sustainable is immense. Companies and individuals are expected to take active steps to reduce their environmental footprint. Many organisations are quick to tout their commitments to net zero emissions, showcasing their green initiatives in marketing materials and sustainability reports. These efforts range from reducing energy consumption in offices to minimising waste, sourcing renewable energy, and cutting down on unnecessary resource use. But all of these efforts feel somewhat hollow when juxtaposed against the carbon footprint of air travel. It's difficult to reconcile the claim of being green when a single flight can undo the benefits of weeks or even months of environmentally conscious decisions. In the court of public opinion, flying, especially for non-essential reasons, can be seen as a hypocritical act in the face of climate change. However, the reality is that for many industries, air travel is still seen as essential. In a globalized economy, businesses often require face-to-face meetings, particularly in sectors where building trust, relationships, and rapport are paramount. Video conferencing tools, though helpful, are often seen as a poor substitute for the effectiveness of in-person interactions. There's something about shaking hands, reading body language, and engaging in real-time discussions that can't be fully replicated online. In cultures where personal relationships are a cornerstone of business success, the absence of physical presence can be a disadvantage. Now, one way that companies are trying to resolve this paradox is through carbon offsetting. The idea is pretty straightforward. For every ton of CO2 emitted during a flight, an equivalent amount of emissions is cancelled out by investing in projects that reduce greenhouse gases elsewhere. This might involve planting trees, funding renewable energy projects, or supporting carbon capture technology. Carbon offsetting has become a popular tool for businesses. Carbon offsetting has become a popular tool for businesses looking to maintain their air travel while mitigating its environmental impact. But it's far from a perfect solution. Critics argue that offsetting simply shifts the burden elsewhere without actually addressing the root cause. Offsets might reduce emissions somewhere, but they don't stop the initial emissions from being produced. Furthermore, not all carbon offset projects are created equal, and some have questionable effectiveness or transparency. And so, yet again, I find myself on the horns of a dilemma. On the one hand, I'm mindful of the impact my trip to Las Vegas will have. On the other, it's virtually impossible to cover an exhibition of this nature and size remotely. I don't expect many other UK publications to be at Minexpo next week, but that's not down to their environmental impact. It's merely an unwillingness to invest and to bring their readers and their viewers the very best possible coverage. But long-haul air travel is becoming harder and harder for me to justify. And I'm not alone. The challenge of claiming sustainability while engaging in air travel for work reflects a broader dilemma facing society. How do we balance the environmental impact of our activities with the demands of a globalized and interconnected world? The convenience and necessity of air travel make it a difficult habit to break, but breaking the habit, or at least reducing its frequency, may be essential if businesses and individuals are truly committed to zero emissions. But with all that being said, I can't wait for my trip to Las Vegas. There's my thought for the day. I mentioned in that, find it harder and harder to justify. And I realise it's a bizarre comparison to draw. I have exactly the same kind of mental anguish over boxing. I love watching boxing. Love watching boxing. The older I get, and the more, in ring deaths and stuff that I've witnessed over the years, I find it harder and harder to justify it. That's my thoughts. Anybody got any thoughts on that? I'd love to hear from you. Dan Carlin, regardless of all that, can't wait to see what you come back with from Las Vegas. It is a hard one. It is a hard one. I was speaking to the editor of a magazine of kind of related to this industry, and they were talking about the fact that they are not going to Minexpo, and they said that they're going to cover it at a distance. Now, this is a magazine, so being a magazine, they can do it with still photographs, and most of the manufacturers, if they're launching anything new, will be more than happy to send them photographs, either of the machines in action or shots from the stand. But I think what you would miss from that, and what I would miss from that, is the interaction, because it's not just a matter of interaction on the stands, which is fantastic, getting to meet, the big knobs at Liebherr and XCMG and Komatsu and Caterpillar. Oh, all fantastic. But you don't get to have those random conversations in the aisles with people. When we went to Conexpo, myself and Fred, we were literally running between stands because we had so much to film. And at one point I said, enough, we both need a break. We need to grab a sandwich and we need to grab a drink. So it was a little kiosk, grabbed a sandwich, grabbed a drink, and went and sat on a table. And there were three old guys, all from the construction business, all American, and they were well into their 60s, if not their 70s. And they heard my accent, heard Fred's accent, and they just started to have a chat. And the longer the chat went on, I could have sat there all day. We're telling them about where they grew up. One of the guys was from Kentucky, which is a place I've never been, but I'd love to go. And we just had this long chat about, life in general and the construction industry and what have you. Absolutely fantastic. And you miss that if you're not actually present. Now, I've just had a notification to say that somebody just used the buy me a coffee thing. They did. Chris Ford, thank you. That goes to the cost. It goes towards the cost of my drone. Thank you very much indeed, Chris Ford. Much appreciated. There was a message there somewhere. I don't know where the hell that's gone. What did that say? He says, "No such thing as a free lunch." Thank you very much indeed for that. We've had a message. Well, we were talking to a guy earlier who went by the name of Fishhead, but this one is equally good. Admiral Wackass. Admiral Wackass says Kentucky is nice. I'm sure Kentucky is nice. There was always a bit of me that wanted to visit it back in the day, back when I was a drinker, because I was a Jack Daniels fan, and isn't that a Kentucky job? That's a Kentucky bourbon, if I'm not to be honest. I saw life through the bottom of it rather than reading the label, but I'm fairly sure that's a Kentucky bourbon. Jim Turner says, tax the hell out of air travel, then we'll see how essential it is to business. I've tried to put land forward to local businesses for tree planting and carbon offsetting. They could have regular reports and pictures of the trees and habits they'd be sponsoring, instead of just handing out money with no real idea of where it's being used. That is one of the concerns with these carbon offsetting programs. And I'm always skeptical with figures anyway. If somebody sends me a press release that says our new backhoe loader is 5% more productive than its prove it. Based on what? But how are you coming up with those figures? And exactly the same for carbon offsetting. We've planted 1,417 trees. Have you? Show me. Prove it to me. This goes to show my complete ignorance of all things American and bourbon related. Admiral Wackass, fantastic name still. Tennessee for Jack, but close. Kentucky has some good bourbon though too. Yeah, well, unfortunately, regardless of its state of origin, I'm not allowed it anymore. Yes, no. No, I can't be doing that. Mick says, I'm a great believer in Mother Earth. The Earth has been about a long time, many events occurring, but when Mother Earth decides enough is enough, she will act accordingly and wipe us all out. Well, there's a cheery thought. No worries about another world war or global warming. I do get the impression, though, that good old Mother Earth may not have had quite enough, but you get the impression she's quite fed up, don't you? Do you not get that? Like some of the, I mean, where are we? We're late September, and there are bees and butterflies in my back garden, which is pretty late in the season, I have to say. Wife cut the grass yesterday because that was still growing, and we've still got blossom on one of our trees in September. You just look around the place; it just feels weird, not right. Flooding and Jim Beam. Jim Beam might be Kentucky. Don't know. Never got on with Jim Beam, and really didn't get on very well with Southern Comfort. I drank Southern Comfort to extreme excess once, was violently ill, and literally, even now, 25, 30 years later, the smell of Southern Comfort, no, can't be doing that. Dan Carlin says, JD is Tennessee. Yes, indeed. I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we got onto bourbon from all things related to global warming and air travel, but that's where we are. Dan Cullen says, when Mother Nature is pissed off, she'll let all hell break loose as if she's on her period, or she has sore tits. See, there is something truly remarkable about the audience of this show. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Somebody, sooner or later, will mention the tit word. I don't know how you manage it. I think it's a remarkable achievement, and congratulations to everybody that's ever done it. I mean, there are obvious ways of doing it. Just type the word TIT into the chat, and there you go. But no, I mean, I think that's truly, truly creative. When Mother Nature has sore tits. Yeah. All of that being said, going back to the business about air travel and what have you, I don't know if anybody else spotted this, but tickets are now available for Bauma 2025. Fairly sure I kept it. Did I keep it? I probably did somewhere. Not seeing it. Let's have a look. I can show it to you. Bear with me for 2 ticks. Present, share screen. There you are. If you are planning to visit Bauma next year, that's what you need to do. You need to go to the tickets and registration area, which is now open for business. Just seeing if I could see the dates for Bauma. Yep, it is April 7 to 13. If you are planning to go, now would be a good time to get yourself, get yourself a ticket to the show, but more specifically, get yourself some accommodation, because it sells out fast if it hasn't done so already, and it is phenomenally expensive. Yeah, it really is. Almost as expensive as an SED sandwich. So yeah, keep that in mind, people, because I'm going to planning to be there. And funnily enough, just thinking ahead or thinking out loud about my sustainability thing just a moment ago. I left Bauma in 2016. I'd been ill, won't bore you, but been ill, and I was pretty convinced I may have just attended my last Bauma. Well, I've done another 3 since. At least another 2 since. And I've had the same thought about Minexpo. Could this be my last trip to Vegas? Because the next Conexpo is not until 2025. There's no major Las Vegas show next year. By the time that rolls around, I will be 61 years of age. 61. Will I still be wanting to fly 11 hours? Will I be allowed? Will I be able to afford to fly 11 hours? Will they, as Jim Turner has said, will they be taxing the hell out of air travel by that point? You never know. So for all the excuses I've made about actually going there, come 2025, I wonder if I will still have the will or the ability. We shall see. Anyway, all that being said, that's an hour of your time. I'll leave you to get on with your day. But that drone, wherever the bloody hell I've put it, that drone will be accompanying me with all of the camera gear, so that we can bring you as much of Las Vegas as is humanly possible. I am planning, I've already told most of you this, I think, I am planning to do a long film. In my head, I'd love it to be an hour long. I don't know if that's possible. It doesn't actually matter how long it is, but I'm planning to produce a film doesn't just show you the show itself, although that will be a key part of it, obviously, because that's the reason I'm going to be there. But I want to take you around the strip. I want to take you around the hotel. I want to show you some of the food, meet some of the people, and all of those things. Watch this space. Watch this space. Jim Turner says, I'd love to do Balmer, but unless we get a sudden cash injection before then, it will have to wait. Yeah, unfortunately, Balmer is an expensive hobby. It really is. I can't remember. I think we've got an Airbnb sorted out, and I think we're paying about 150 quid a night, but that's cheap. Some of the hotels are 500 and 600 quid a night. And more if you want to stay somewhere, relatively central and relatively close to the showground. So it is not cheap. Have you ever thought more on getting the stickers updated? I have. I've got to be honest with you. I did have a think about it, and I even spoke to an illustrator about getting them done. The problem I have, and I realise this is a long way off, but I'm probably about a year away from producing our 1000th show. For those of you that have been around for long enough, you will know that we rebranded this show when we did our 100th episode. We rebranded again on our 500th episode. It seems right and proper, excuse me, to rebrand when we get to 1,000 shows. So rather than producing a sticker that will go out of circulation between now and about this time next year, I thought I'd hang on, save it for the new branding. I do have some new ideas coming up, all of which will be going through Buy Me a Coffee. And just as a slight aside on Buy Me a Coffee, I'm not trying to flog it. Support it if you will, don't if you don't. But everybody that supports the page now, you're basically added to a supporters page. So I'm taking articles, articles that aren't being published elsewhere, they will go on there. But even things like the scripts for my morning monologues, which won't be published elsewhere, they are going on there, and you will receive them if you're a supporter. So if you fancy a bit of that, you can do that. Chris Ford says, I for one won't be going, not just the expense, I haven't got a passport. That's easy to rectify, but I can understand it. Stay safe, fellas, says Mick. Time for the hound to cock his leg. Catch you later. There you go, Mick. Have a good day. It'll be a classic, though, if out of date eventually. Yeah, well, let's see if I'm struck by inspiration. I've been vaguely struck by inspiration because I've been sorting out the Buy Me a Coffee page. It's like I'm flogging it. I'm really not. But one of the things that I've used that for in the past is to sell ebooks. So we've sold the book on the Jumbo excavator, which is still up for sale. We did a book on the CMA investigation into the 10 NFTC members. That book's still for sale. But in the past, we've also done children's books, and I've been kicking around the idea for a new children's book for 3 years, and I think I've got it. I've not written it, but I think I've actually got the story in mind. All I need to do now is find a suitable illustrator to bring my vision to fruition. Won't be of much interest to you guys, but if you're a child or the father, grandfather, uncle, aunt of a child, hopefully we'll be doing that very, very soon. Between now and the new year, there will be a new issue of A Sight for Sore Eyes, the book, 3rd edition of our book, which will be a collection of the very best of my writing, assuming you think my writing actually has a best and is not just mediocre throughout. That will be available through Buy Me a Coffee, so it is a good time to sign up if you would care to. So yes, that's it. I'm going to go and find my drone because I'm slightly worried about where I've put it. I just hope one of the dogs hasn't stolen it because I'd be very upset about that. That is an hour, people. Go forth, go have a good day. I'll be back here for the penultimate show before I head off for 10 days. Till then, everybody, have a splendid day. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Thanks for your feedback. Thanks for your input. Dan Carlin, congratulations on another victory in the Mystery Machine. I'll see you on the morrow.